Afternoon everyone, it's Nicola here, and I've just started writing morning pages. I don't know if you ever read the book The Artist's Way. Julia someone. Oh God, I can't remember her surname now. It's very good for helping you get over resistance, for creativity, for general well-being, and so I've started it this week. I started on Tuesday and I've written 3, admittedly small, they're not A4, but they are pages in my trusty moleskin. And I've done it every day and it certainly made me feel better. I had a low moment on day 3 when I actually I caught myself writing something that goes completely against the grain for me, which was, why can't I was comparing myself to other people, which you really shouldn't do. And it slipped out of my pen. Why can't I seem to get as mega successful as other people? And I was thinking, that's not like me to write that. So this is apparently what Morning Pages does. It brings out your limiting and negative beliefs, and it brings out good stuff as well. But that's one of the things it's supposed to help with, uncovering those things that aren't very helpful. And I was not really thinking about it very much. I wrote some more morning pages, and then I had a call with a lady called Emmy. And what had happened was Emmy had been offered one of my books on Amazon. She was offered not The Money Gym, which is my main book, but she was offered Mindset, Marketing and Money. And that was one of the books where I interviewed about 150 people, lots of different people, very well-known people in our field on the internet space and business world. And there were some really cool people in there. And what I did was I asked them for their story, and then I asked them to answer 3 questions. What is the one thing you wish you'd known when you were 18 years old? What is the one thing that's helped you with marketing your business the most? And what is the one thing you wish you'd known about money when you were younger? And so I gathered up the best, over the years, I gathered up the best responses to those 3 questions. And I put out the Mindset, Marketing and Money one first. And there was some really good money stuff in there. And Emmy's business is all centered around storytelling, helping people to be better storytellers. So anyway, she had a look at my book and she thought, oh, that lady might be good for my new virtual summit that I'm organising. She came over to YouTube and she watched some videos on YouTube and she thought, yes, I like this woman. I want to invite her on my summit. So far, so good. Then she actually read some of the book and she realised that there was some really good information in there. There was some really good tips in there. And then she came over and she found me and she booked herself into my diary, because on my website at Nicola Cairncross, I've got the option to book yourself in for a 15-minute chat. Now, when that email came through to me, I thought Emmy was interested in joining the Clicks and Leads Academy. So what I did was I shot back my usual email, which said, if you'd like, obviously 15 minutes isn't very long. I'll give you as much value as I can in the time. But if you'd like to tell me a bit about your business, then I'd be happy to take a look at your website or whatever you want me to have a look at. So she shot me the info or did she? I don't think she did actually. I think I went looking for it and I found her website from her email address. Very cunning, you see. And so when she turned up on the call, I had looked at her website and I had several short tips to give her to improve the look of her website and the way it was acting. Because lots of people just look at their websites on their mobiles, and I look at people's websites on my desktop. And actually the majority of visitors to my websites are still on laptop or tablet. So you've got to look at your website on those as well. And so I gave her some tips, and then I said to her, so Emmy, what were you hoping to get out of this call? And she said, to invite you to speak on my virtual summit. I was like, oh, okay, completely opposite to what I was expecting, but that was very cool too. And I like virtual summits. They're really good fun. You get a really good chat for an hour. It doesn't make me go anywhere, and I get to know the host of the summit, and it's another person that you've networked with. And it's a lovely way of doing things. And I'm actually going to do a video straight after this one about virtual summits, if you've never heard of such a thing. So Emmy had an interesting format. She says, what we'll do is we'll talk for 15 minutes for my podcast, and then we'll start again and we'll start the summit topic. So she'd assigned me a topic based on what she'd gathered that I was particularly good at. And so we did that. We talked for 15 minutes. I gave her 3, I think the topic was embedding a wealthy mindset. And so I gave her the 3 tips that sort of came to mind straight away. They were more like 6 tips really, but I managed to squeeze them in. And then we went on to talk for an hour about my background and how I'd progressed through my entrepreneurial career and how I'd ended up where I was. And it was a thoroughly enjoyable experience. We had a really good chat. It was great. I liked it a lot. And she sent me the nicest email afterwards. It was a real pleasure to read that email. And she had said that had helped her enormously with several things on the call, which is the whole point. And that she'd really felt inspired by talking to me. And that brought me round in a full circle, because I think that's one of the things. I've got a strapline on my YouTube channel which says inspiring and empowering entrepreneurs. And Sarah, my sister, says that that's a little bit pretentious and that she would put her off because she'd think, oh, who is this woman who thinks she can inspire and empower me? But I think that might be just sister talk, because Emmy did feel inspired by what I'd shared on the call. And I think that what my real thing, if I'm thinking about what I'm really good at, because that thing I wrote in my morning pages was all about how I'm never stick at anything for long enough to become really, really good at it, to become a master at it rather than just a teacher. I think what was getting to me there was that I never, I've been a fashion designer, I was pretty good at that, but I'd never been a star. I'd worked in the music industry as a music industry manager. I was pretty good at that, but I never managed a star or managed to get a star, one of my artists, to become a star. And I think what was getting to me was that I always seemed to do okay, but never excel exceptionally. And I think what I do excel exceptionally at is I learn stuff. I learn stuff quick, I learn stuff deep, and then I share what I learned. And that was one of the things that Emmy said to me. She said, you made several complicated things very simple and very clear for me. And I think that is my big strength. I've always been a bit of a maven. I've always loved to read different things. I've always loved to talk to different people. I'm interested in many different things. And I think possibly when it comes to internet marketing, that is a great strength, because I'm always trying new stuff. You've seen me make videos recently about AI, and I'm not absolutely convinced that it's a necessity yet, but it can certainly shorten your workload. But somebody who wasn't particularly interested in lots of different things wouldn't be particularly interested in AI. They'd kept their head down, they'd stuck in their lanes, and they wouldn't be getting distracted. So I think perhaps my ADD, maven, magpie style of learning might be the thing that is my unique skill and strength. And so I ended up, after the whole experience with Emmy, feeling a lot happier and more cheered up and more positive about my own strengths and skills and what I bring to the table. And you can't ask for more than that, really, from someone who just was offered your book on Amazon and decided to go for it and buy it. That's a wonderful, wonderful experience for me. So thank you, Emmy. I look forward to seeing my episode come out, because apparently there were some nuggets in there, and you don't realise you're doing that when you're talking to people, but if they get nuggets out of it, then that's all good. Nuggets of gold, that is, obviously. Anyway, I'm rambling now, so I'm going to sign off now, and I hope you have a very nice bank holiday weekend. And all I can say is that the pouring rain is obviously Diana's way of getting back at old King Sausage Fingers. So that's cheered me up as well. See you next time.